recording. So now I'm starting with the recording today, okay? So let's just start by having a look at our classroom, right? We discussed scaffolding and last class concepts, chapters, genre theory, view of languages, what else? Tasks, the importance of scaffolding students' process, not letting them alone until they feel they are ready. And now we need to turn into the importance of input and output, right, in second language learning and teaching. So as a kind of homework, you have to do these tasks. First of all, watch those short video clips. And what you were watching, you were asked and required to answer these questions. Like, for example, why can we say that the teacher is using rich input in the first part of the class? What is the purpose of the activity or the task? And how is it that the first part of the class prepare the students for the second part of the class, right? Always thinking of input and output, okay? After that, you had to read this handout. Okay, you had to read the handouts where there's some, I mean, these are fragments that discuss the concept of output, right? Not just output with a simplistic definition, but something more, let's say, complex, as it is with the three functions of output, okay? And then after discussing, and of course, here there's a photo of Meryl Swain, because you know that Meryl Swain is the one who, she's the one who kind of stood up, kind of not against, I would say, to complement Krashen's theory on input hypothesis, all right? Do you remember the input hypothesis and then the concept of output, the importance of output, okay? Input and output together. We need to kind of balance the two concepts in the use of these two concepts in our classes. So the idea is that you read the fragments and kind of summarize the fragments and try to complete these fragments and internalize and reformulate them with what you remember from previous years, right? And after that, which I don't know if we are going to get into it, but after that, you needed to try to put everything together, talking about input, output, and scaffolding, with this text, which is called I Love You Through and Through, okay? So were you able to read it? This is for little kids, 4th year, right, primary school, where there are lots of things that we can focus on in our teaching sequences, okay? Good. Questions or comments as regards the materials and the tasks you had to complete? No?
Anna,
Yes.
I have questions about the text of output,
Okay.
the one about the extracts.
Okay, about the, I mean, you mean the theory?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Let's see, first of all, because the idea is that we try to see theory through practice, right? Through examples. So first of all, remember the role of input and output, Okay, this is something that we need to remember, because input has been described as the language that learners are exposed to in class. Okay, if you remember Krashen's, the input hypothesis, as I+1, okay, and he goes beyond that by focusing on comprehensible input, right? But what we know is that input plays a significant role in language development, because the more we listen to, the more we read, the more we perceive, right? The more we are able to incorporate, internalize, reformulate, build, right, into a network of meaning. So we know that children benefit when they are exposed to rich input. That is, input which has a communicative purpose and which provides children with an adequate level of challenge. That's comprehensible input. I+1, input +1. That means going a little bit beyond their level of comprehension. Because if the input that students are exposed to is too easy for them to understand, they get bored. Now, if it is too difficult, what is it that they get discouraged? What is it that they're going to say? They're going to say, okay, I can't do it. I don't understand. This is too difficult for me. All right? So they don't, you are not motivating them. So this is very important. The input we provide should be at the adequate level of challenge. There should be a challenge. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. So my question to you is, why can we say that the teacher in those videos is using rich input, right? And how is it that that input prepares students for the second part of the class, right? And what is the purpose of the activity? What can you tell me about it? What can you say?
I think, hello.
Yeah, hello, Nelia.
I think that she provides a lot of visual material and she adapts it with a lot of scaffolding strategies.
Okay.
And that's a way of it's an exposure to language.
Good.
What I wrote was
Noelia, when you say that she adapts and she uses scaffolding strategies, right, to help students, what are those strategies?
She does it mainly through expressions, non-linguistic and linguistic expressions.
Okay.
I wrote some of gestures, body language,
Good.
the intonation, cartoons
Yeah.
of clothes on the whiteboard. The cross, she asks students to cross the drawings.
Good.
And pointing to the clothes that students are wearing. And there are the linguistic ones, such as repeating keywords, systematic. There is a concept that a teacher from practice mentioned some days before.
Which is that?
And systematizar, she said.
Systematization. Systematization,
Yes.
Okay. Of course, now we are going to talk about systematization. The idea is that now students are exposed to the language, right? As you said, it is evident that the class, that class that we observed is rich in comprehensible input because kids understand, right? Yet, if all the classes were composed only of comprehensible input, children would find it difficult to produce the language themselves, right? So though it is true that children need exposure to English in the class, they also need the chances to speak and write in the language in order to learn it. Remember, while you use it, you learn it. It's not that you learn it to use it. Remember what I always said, right? You use it to learn it. So output can be described as having a double function here. Yes, questions?
Yes. No, can I read my answer?
Yes.
I wrote, the students are exposed to communicative input in Spanish language while introducing the topic, giving instructions, revising vocabulary, and explaining and doing the activities. There are few translations. The teacher acts as facilitator while making gestures, body movements, and giving examples to help the students understand.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very good. In a nutshell, you say exactly the same as Noelia said. Very good.
Okay.
Now, Mariana, you are talking
Yes.
about communicative input. I don't know what you're referring to by communicative input, because whenever we discuss input is comprehensible input, not communicative. I mean, the communicative is the situation. The situation is communicative. Okay, the whole situation that the teacher creates, because here the teacher is creating a situation, a very communicative situation, because they are playing a game. Okay, they are having fun. And of course, she kind of models at first, right, for them to repeat, but this is a game for them. They're having fun and they are repeating. Of course, there is repetition. And in that repetition, there is systematization. By systematization, we get the idea of, okay, we've played, we've understood, and we talk. Now, let's remember, right? Let's remember. So you kind of wrap up and explain briefly, right, what you were doing. Okay?
There is a part, I think, in the second video, the teacher asks students to remember a three-step, I cannot remember right now, this idea of applying
the description.
the word llevar. Yes.
Exactly. That's it. So in that way, she's systematizing. She said, okay, ¿se acuerdan? Yo llevo, o él lleva una pollera, una falda color, right? So remember, so students remember that. Okay? But compare this video clip with another situation when we tend to do, like writing on the blackboard, he has, she has, it has, y después la flechita, right? O los blancos para completar. Is it the same?
No.
No. What fun is in that? I mean, in that section, I mean, when we write he, she, it, has, it, and then students fill in the blank and they repeat and they repeat. For students, that has no meaning. No meaning at all. Do you understand what I mean? Because we are dealing with kids or with adolescents that they want to obtain something through communication. Okay, good. Okay, what else?
The translation.
Okay, okay, very good.
Translated.
Okay. Translation. Is she really, can we say that she's using translation or she's making use of mother tongue?
No, she tries to use the mother tongue to support the students.
Okay,
that
right.
Then in the following classes they will learn that phrases.
Okay, good. All right, and what is the objective here? When is it that she makes use of children's mother tongue? What's her objective here?
That they understand the the instruction maybe of the
Okay,
game.
so she's checking comprehension. She's checking comprehension. So she uses, or she makes use of Spanish, or in this case, English, right? She makes use of children's mother tongue to check comprehension. Because if students do not understand instructions, then they get everything wrong. So we need to be very careful, right? So this idea that we only have to speak English in our classes, no. Sometimes we need Spanish because we need to build some kind of rapport with our students. We need to help them. So little by little, right, we help them understand what we say in English, but we need to make use of Spanish sometimes. Now, delivering the class in Spanish, the whole class in Spanish, I mean, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying, okay? Because if not, then you say, ah, no, pero Ana me dijo que yo puedo usar el español en clase. No, right? We are teaching English, but that doesn't mean that we do not make use of Spanish, all right? So sometimes we do need Spanish, all right? Good. Okay, anything else? So, to bear in mind, we know what children know, right? We know what children know as a result of what they say and write. Because we realize that they learned or that they are getting, right, towards the objective. We realize then when we pay attention to their production, what they say and what they write. So that's output. Output helps us determine the product of learning because it helps us to assess how much children have learned. Okay, so this is one of the functions of output, to realize how much children have learned so far. So output is a way into children's interlanguage system. Remember interlanguage, right? Interlanguage is the system. It's a system, and it's a flexible system, right? That is what the student has and builds inside him or her, right? Whenever he is working with the language. So interlanguage is very important. We know what stage they are through output. And then on the other hand, output has a central role in children's linguistic development, that is in the process of learning, okay? So all this is kind of summarized in the fragments of output, all right? Now, let's see Eileen's questions about that. What are the questions, Eileen?
I was going to ask about the functions that in the extra they were mentioned: noticing, triggering, hypothesis testing, and meta-linguistic reflective.
Mm-hmm.
The first two, I didn't understand completely the first two.
Okay, let's see. Let me find, wait a minute. We are in excerpt. Which excerpt is? Remind me, please. 1, 2.
I think it's
The three functions of output, right?
No, it's the
Yes.
first one. I think it's the second page.
Here, noticing,
Yes.
triggering, hypothesis testing, and meta-linguistic and reflective functions, right? Noticing and triggering. Why? Because what does it mean is that when students produce either orally or in a written way, they realize that what they have produced is different from the target language, okay? From, for example, from what the teacher said. So that, okay, I'm saying this, but I noticed that there is something different. So the very first.
So, Anna, it is when
Yeah.
the student recognize an error or a mistake, and he or she makes an effort to recognize the correct word or structure.
Exactly. And then hypothesis testing is, okay, if I know that the tense, the past simple of paint is painted because it finishes in ed, and then I don't know, paint, I don't know, now I'm thinking of all irregular verbs, but imagine, right, that they've been working with regular verbs, and so they know, right, they build constructed meaning and saying, okay, if I said paint, painted, give me another one, another verb.
A regular verb.
Regular.
Walk.
Okay, walked. And then they saw that there is this ed attached to the verb. They would say, they would hypothesize that the past tense of go is goed. And they would say it, and they would say it, and they would write it. They would say goed, right, instead of went. So that is hypothesis test. So that's another function of output, because by producing, right, they are testing their hypothesis. And then, of course, it would be our job to say, are you sure, right? Okay, isn't the same, right? So this is hypothesis test, noticing, right, triggering this gap between what they produce and the appropriate form. And then, of course, this idea of hypothesis testing, right? And of course, the meta-linguistic reflective, right? The meta-linguistic, or the reflection, right? This idea of saying, okay, what is it that I am doing? Of course, what students do, they even if they are very, very young, they do this. They think about it all the time, right? Not consciously. So it's our job to help them become aware of what they are doing, to think about language, of their production, right? Of how language works, of what they are doing, of what they are communicating. And that goes beyond the form, all right? That goes beyond form, all right? Yes? Good. Yes, Eileen, is it clearer now?
Yes, now, yes. Thank you.
All right, good. Okay.
Anna, I think that it's important to let them know, discover the language, because if we, for example, write the table of, for example, I don't know, she, he, or it has got, okay, maybe we cannot let them discover that. Maybe they have to say has got. Maybe, okay, if I say I have got I don't know, a red t-shirt, okay, maybe the students that say she have got, okay, think about it. Maybe if we wrote it in the blackboard, we don't let them discover the language.
Okay, too, but Natalia, that would be part of what Noelia mentioned before, the systematization afterwards. But we need to give them the chance of finding meaning, first of all, because if not, everything is about form. If not, everything is about how to write the proper or the correct preposition, the s or the es at the end of the verbs when we are talking about present simple. And then we get frustrated because we said, ay, pero si en cuarto año la docente estuvo todo el año hablando del presente simple y otra vez tengo que empezar con el presente simple. Y no, something's wrong there, right? Something's wrong. That's why people, it's very important I mean, we need to change the way we teach English. We can't continue using the old paradigm. Am I clear? Right?
Yes.
That's why last class, when we discussed how to approach a text like the story of Vantage, right? The dot. I mean, there are lots of ways in which we can work with it and help students make meaning. All right? Good. Okay, any other questions? All right, so what is it? Let me refresh. Let me see where the classroom is. All right, you have to work with I Love You Through and Through, right? But not that Rossetti Shostak. There's a handout too where there are some kind of interactions between teacher and students, and a list of questions that I pose for you to analyze it, right? So again, is the story rich in input? Why? Is there imitation in the classroom interactions, right? You would have to explain. How are input and output handled by the teacher? Are there instances of scaffolding? Which ones? You said, oh, yes, yes. Okay, which are those instances, right? And then, of course, I would like you to comment on the role of the teacher and the students, okay? That would be the first task that we are going to deal with. Were you able to watch the, not watch, but read the handout?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, okay. So
Yes, I
want to listen to you, right, first, and then we have 9 minutes. So first of all, I want to listen to you, and then I'm going to give you my feedback, right, to your work. So what can you say about it? Let's see, Belén, Belu, Robeli.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
What
Can you
say?
hear me?
Yeah. What can you say about this?
About the input, it is rich because you can, with it, you can teach a lot of things, such as feelings, and they can through the story they can discover all the feelings that the boy and Bia have. Sorry.
Okay. Okay, Belen, remember that when you said a lot of things, lots of things, I mean, you're saying nothing, right? Try to be specific, okay? Good, all right, good. Okay, so on the one hand, Belen thinks that is the input is rich because it kind of makes students or helps students think of feelings, right? Okay, good. All right. Melina, Liska, what can you say about this? I mean, advanced with the questions, right? With the list of questions.
And you know, I just noticed that I don't know why, but I didn't have the vision of these classes. Now I found them, so I couldn't read them.
Okay.
I do it.
Okay.
I'm really sorry.
Okay. Ornella, where are you,
Yes.
Ornella? Now will you change?
Here.
Yeah.
Well, I found some scaffolding like mimicry, visual support, and the students are attracted to the colors and drawings. So it's that makes like catchy to the children.
Okay, Ornella, you're saying that the children are
attracted
to colors
to
and drawing.
Yes.
Okay.
In the I love you through and through.
Okay. Yes. I'm trying to make sense of what you're saying. All right. Okay. So that is that the book is interesting, is motivating, is challenging.
It's very graphic, so it's like easy to understand with the colors and the drawings.
Okay.
Anna, can I say something?
Yes, sure, Lore.
I agree with Ornella in this aspect. The book is attractive. It has many contents to be taught, but I think that the teaching sequences are so few. So I found that the teacher in the second class tried to make the students write a book, so the outcome, in the second class without practicing the middle of these teaching sequences. So that maybe the input is rich, but the classes are poor, or
okay.
maybe
now, Lore,
practice.
What we are reading in the handout is not the teaching sequence. There, what we have are the interactions, right?
Okay.
What happens between students and teachers, and some parts, right? We do not have
okay, so I made a mistake with my analysis.
No, but what you're saying is very important, Lore. It's very important, because this is what we sometimes do. We said, okay, wonderful, we read the story, now you write. How? We need to teach them how to write. We need to explain them, right, what to do. Okay?
To scaffold, to support, to guide.
Exactly. Right? Exactly. Very good.
They need to practice.
Of course.
They need to practice to write.
Okay, exactly. Right. Okay, Mika, anything to say, anything to add?
No, I agree with my companions.
Nothing else to add?
No.
Okay. Juan?
Yes. Yes, I found that the teacher, when she was reading to the students, I found that she uses gestures to make them understand the story. This is just to support the students. They create the atmosphere. I think that the book was to create atmosphere, so then they can continue with the activity or with the task.
Okay, there is a technical lexis for you to express this idea of creating atmosphere. Think about crushing, right? When you, what does the teacher do?
The affective filter.
Okay, what with the affective filter? To
yes,
lower the affective filter, right? To help students relax. As Juan said, to create a relaxing atmosphere, right? So you said the teacher is helping, right, to lower the affective filter. Okay, good. Okay, that's very good. All right. Okay, so very briefly, right, what I'm going to say is that what we have here is that this class presents a very interesting example of how scaffolding can take place with a book, right? Because we started with the dot. Now, what happens with the story when we work with the story, right? The teacher provides an interactive treatment of the text by establishing these kind of reversible roles while reading the text, right? As it is noticed in the interactions in the handout, children are given the chance to participate in the discourse activity by providing missing parts that they can recover from the pictures in the story. Okay?
I was going, sorry.
No, no, no.
I was going to note that part. There is a part that says teacher stops and repeats last part and makes a blank for
Exactly.
students to complete.
Like
Is it the information gap?
Exactly.
And also,
It's like saying, I love you through one. And so the children said through. Okay. Do you think that children know that through is a preposition? No. That through is spelled like T-R-A-H-R-O. No, they are going to say through. Through, and for them is through. Right? The same as open the door, right? When they repeat, the little kids, when they repeat open the door, for them, open the door is go, open the door. They don't know that it's open the door. Now, 5 seconds and we join the class again because communication breaks. All right.